This year has been the year of clone systems. I've been lucky enough to review the Gen Mobile and the Retro Mini X. Now, I'm really surprised how well these clone systems have been performing. Like I've told you before, I actually got the Gen Mobile and the Retro Mini X. I've not really been a fan of clone systems. When the whole craze of making old retro clone systems first started, they were at best really crappy. There was a bunch of them coming out of China where they had 30 illegal games in a controller. You'd plug them into your TV, over half the games didn't work right, and you end up throwing the thing in the garbage, and it was a cheap, plasticky nonsense toy. Since then, I guess these companies realized they had to step their game up to make a profit, and we've got great systems. I do definitely like the Gen Mobile and the Retro Mini X. So when I was contacted by the Stone Age Gamer that this system was coming to the market, it definitely piqued my interest, and I was dying to get my hands on it to see how it performed. And that system would be the Yobo FC16 Go. Now this system right here is a portable Super Nintendo. And when I heard this was coming out, I was excited. I was wondering what the hell took them so long to make this. In the 16-bit era, the Super Nintendo ended up being the most popular system, so I was very surprised that it took them so long to come out with a portable clone. But here it is. This is the first one officially to the market by Yobo, so let's crack it open and see what this system comes with. Okay, first and foremost, you get the system itself. This is the silver color system. It's also going to come in charcoal and red. You get the removable lithium-ion battery, which is very cool. You get two wireless 2.4 gigahertz controllers, cheap, worthless headphones that you just throw in the garbage as soon as you get them. You get the AC adapter, a one-sheet instruction manual. And last, but definitely not least, you get the AV cables because the FC16 Go can be plugged into a regular television. Okay, let's take a look at this bad boy. As you can see, it's almost the size of a netbook, but we'll get into that later. It has a flip-top screen. Kind of almost looks like a first-generation DS, to be honest with you. The screen is 3.5 inches, the biggest screen I've seen on one of these portables yet. On the bottom side of it, you have your directional pad, which is pretty good. You have your select, your power, your start, your reset button that does not work on the units, which that is beyond me why they don't. You have your four buttons, Y, X, B, A. Go to the top. You have your L and R buttons, which we'll get into those later. You have an excellent dust cover, which the Gen Mobile and Retro Mini X should have taken notes. This is how a dust cover should be. It's solid, it feels good, and it actually feels like it's going to do its job and protect the unit when there's not a cartridge in it. You have your AV out, you have your AC adapter port. On the side here you have your LCD screen or TV out. Right under that you have the volume control. On the front here, these two green LEDs show you when player 1 and player 2 controllers are synced to the unit, so you'll know when your wireless controller is connected to the FC16 Go. I really like that feature. And on the bottom, you have your compartment to put your lithium-ion battery. Alright, so we're going to go right for the gold here because I know a billion people are going to ask me if this game works. And the first game we're going to pop in is Star Fox with the FX chip. Now the reason why I want to start with this game first is because Yobo was notorious for making clone Super Nintendos that didn't work well or at all with the FX chip. And when they did start to work with them, the colors were off, the game didn't play that good, so a lot of people were very annoyed at that because a lot of people love Star Fox. But I can tell you right now, this system works fantastic with it, and I'm going to prove it to you. And there you go. This is Star Fox for the Super Nintendo, working perfectly. Okay, next we're going to pop in Super Mario World, and as you see, once again, looks great, plays great. Okay, next we're going to pop in Street Fighter 2. Once again, man, I mean, unfortunately through my camera, the LCD screen is not going to look too great, but the picture's really clear, all the colors are spot on to the original, and on top of it, the D-pad is good enough that you can pull off the moves. And now we got my crack addiction, Super Castlevania 4. I may play this for 4 hours and get back to you. And as you're seeing here, Castlevania 4 works just fine. Looks just as good as it would on the original Super Nintendo. Oh yeah, and I forgot about this one. I know I'll get a ton of questions about this game. Does the Super Game Boy work in the FC16 Go? Let's find out. And there you go. Yes, the Super Game Boy does work on the FC16 Go. Unfortunately, I don't have a Game Boy game to show you it working, but I guarantee you it works just fine. And now let's talk about the included 2.4 gigahertz wireless Super Nintendo clone controllers that come with the system. What do I think of these controllers? These are, hands down, the best Super Nintendo clone controllers I have ever personally laid my hands on. They're fantastic. The directional pad is ridiculously responsive. It is absolutely amazing. I tried it with fighting games. I tried it with platformers. It is perfect. The buttons have a good bouncy feel to them. Very responsive. The select and start are pretty comfortable, and the L and R triggers have a really good solid click. This controller feels very well made. The only thing I could say that's a downside is that they're a little thick, but besides that, they get great distance, they sync up very easily, and the battery life lasts forever inside these. They are fantastic controllers. They are the best controllers I've seen with one of these systems yet. Okay, now I'm going to show you how easy it is to get this synced up with the system. Power on the system, and all you do is hit a button, and the light will stop blinking when your controller is connected. It's that simple. Okay, so I've given you an overview of the entire system. Now it's time to bring this review home and go over the positives and negatives of the FC16 Go. And we'll start off with the positives. The first thing is that you get a very nice 3.5-inch screen. It's easy to see text on. It's not the clearest screen I've seen on these portable systems, but it's pretty good and it gets the job done, and it works well with RPGs where there's a lot of text. And hey, what else can you ask for? Another good thing about the FC16 Go is that the speaker is very clear and very loud. Even with the volume all the way up, all the sound is very crisp, very clean. A lot of these clone systems, when the volume goes over halfway up, they get very crackly, very distorted. This, even at full volume, sounds very clear, and the volume gets very loud too, so that's pretty cool. Another thing that's awesome about this console is that the lithium-ion battery in it is interchangeable. Unlike the Gen Mobile, if it goes bad in this system, you could just simply replace it. Whereas in the Gen Mobile, if it goes bad, that system becomes a doorstop. That is a huge plus, and I'm glad that Yobo thought about that. Another huge plus to the FC16 Go is that its compatibility seems excellent. All these different games I tried here work very well, and we have the Super Game Boy, we have Star Fox with the FX chip, and the regular games seem to work fantastic. It emulates all the games perfectly. The AV output on this console is fantastic. Yes, it doesn't give you S-Video or component, it just gives you composite, but it is crystal clear. You see no artifacts, no interference. It has the best video output I've seen on these portable consoles. Well, of course, not everything is perfect about the FC16 Go, and even though my list of negatives is smaller, they are some pretty huge problems. And speaking of huge, look at this damn thing. I mean, it's enormous. What were they thinking? Let's do a little size comparison. This is the Retro Mini X, which is a fairly big console by itself. Pretty much dwarfs it. And this is ridiculous. The Gen Mobile. It could eat the Gen Mobile. Now, although I think it's great that this is an interchangeable lithium-ion battery and it's rechargeable, there is a problem, is that the battery life on this thing is awful. And I mean short. I'm talking about 3.5 to 4 hours. And this totally boggles my mind. This thing cannot play Super Famicom games. What were they protecting the American consumer from? They don't want you to play Japanese games in their clone system? That's totally retarded. And my personal biggest beef with this system is the L and R triggers. They're not even triggers. They're these cheap buttons that if you press them towards the back of the system, get stuck. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is final verdict time, and what is my final verdict on the FC16 Go? Well, if you don't own any kind of Super Nintendo or Super Nintendo clone yet, this may be an interesting choice to pick up because it is an excellent Super Nintendo home console and it gives you the portable option. But if you already own a Super Nintendo or Super Nintendo clone and you just want this for portable gaming, I would wait to see what other options pop up first because this has some bugs that it has to work out. Anyway, this is Rich of ReviewTechUSA and TheTotalGamer.com. I once again want to thank StoneAgeGamer.com for letting me have this unit to review. I'm going to actually have a special promo code, so if you're interested in picking up this unit, you can get an extra $4 off on it. For more gaming and technology reviews, go to youtube.com/ReviewTechUSA or TheTotalGamer.com. Thanks for watching.